converted man here. All right. So, the so-called hiddenness of God. I sometimes ask believers of God why God wouldn't just reveal itself to all of humanity in a way that we couldn't be mistaken about its existence. Why play this game of hide and seek? Um, why is God silent? If you say hi, God, even if you're a believer, you don't hear anything. A few people have claimed to, though, but you know, God essentially is the ultimate parasocial relationship. A parasocial relationship would be one that you might have with an actor that you admire their films, you're a fan of theirs, you've watched everything they've done, and maybe you've written to them or whatever, and maybe you've gotten a couple things back, but they don't really know who you are. They're not really aware of you. And God is even more than that, more removed than that, because at least with a big YouTuber or what have you, they might notice you. They might, heart your comment or respond to it. But God never responds at all, and you can't be sure that there's a God to respond in the first place. You write letters to God and receive nothing back. You spend all this time and energy on a completely one-sided relationship. And maybe occasionally you'll feel some tingly sensation when in church or when you're praying or something like that you attribute to God, but you can't be sure that it is actually God because God is hiding. And the answer for why this is so is free will, although there are other answers that also aren't very legitimate in my view. They're not impressive. They don't really seem to make any logical sense if you're speaking of a God that supposedly cares about us. Um, you know, it, this is a God that's supposed to want us to have a relationship with us, but doesn't communicate with us in any way, shape, or form. Well, communicates through the Bible. It's an odd way to. That's a one-sided conversation as well. I can't talk to a book. Well, I can, but I don't get anything back from it. So, um, that's not really effective. So the idea is that if God revealed itself, it removes free will. Okay, so I have a creeper toy uh, uh, statue from Minecraft, and it lights up. That's my claim. And you can believe me or not. You could hold in judgment the idea that I do, and once I reveal it and it lights up, oh, yes, you now have no choice but to believe that this is here unless you want to think that this is somehow a special effect that I'm doing or something ridiculously silly. But this is here. This is real. It's what I said it was, and now you have no choice but to accept that it exists. And so, if God revealed itself to all humanity, we would all know that it exists, and that somehow would be bad. I don't know why. Uh, but then the flip side of that is, well, you have the choice to believe or not believe. No, I don't. I don't have a choice. I have no choice in the matter. I cannot believe in something without evidence. I do not have a choice. Period. End of story. I don't. I can't just believe something without empirical, repeatable, testing, empirical evidence, repeatable testing, valid and sound argument. I cannot just make myself believe something. In this box is a lobster. Maybe there is. Not a living lobster, not a full-size lobster, but maybe a toy lobster or a dead lobster or a small lobster. But nonetheless, it could be a lobster. Or it might not be. And what's in there? You could believe anything about it. You can believe I'm telling the truth, lying, I'm misleading. I'm just making a claim that it is something. It's not really a lobster, by the way, if you're curious. In fact, I'm not even really sure what's in here. Oh, it's this. I don't know what the bleep that is. Some sort of light bulb or something to do with a car, I think. Yeah, it's like a light bulb of some sort. Wow. But now you have no choice but to believe that that's what that was, even if we're not really sure. And now it's hidden again. Maybe I put something else in there. A human is inside the box. You can't believe that. You can't just make yourself believe something ridiculous. It's not how brains work. Now, maybe over time, with enough effort, you could convince yourself that it's true. It would take time and energy, maybe a long time and a lot of energy, but maybe you could convince yourself if you tried really hard and break your brain to convince yourself that there was a human inside that tiny box. Maybe you could convince yourself that I am, in fact, a lobster. You have the choice to be able to do that. Do you? I don't know. I don't know that it is possible to make yourself believe that, but it certainly wouldn't be instantaneous and would require a heck of a lot of effort. But why would you put in so much effort into trying to believe something unless we thought it was true? Religion, broadly speaking, has evolved throughout time. And as such, it synchronizes very well with many of our human desires, our psychology, our wants and needs as humans. Answers, or seems to answer, questions that we have, tells us how to live, carries traditions with us. It tells us, our place in society and things like this. Uses poetry and things like that to inspire and spark your imagination, and community and tradition and comfort, feeling of I know what I'm going to get when I go, and I'm going to get the same thing every time, and the thing doesn't change, and it's consistent, and all these things. And all religions, broadly speaking, start from a small spot on the world. Some person or a group of people make a claim to have had an experience with the divine. Either it came to them, they came to it, or both, or maybe they are the divine themselves, and they write down some inspirational stuff, or they talk about it, and other people write it down, and then it's codified into a belief system that then becomes a religion over time. Every system of human made religion is that way. It appears on a dot on the map in a singular place and time, and it slowly grows from there and usually stops at some point and leaks to other parts of the world slowly, also throughout time. Spreads faster depending upon the methods used to spread it. Not only have to do, if you wonder why Christianity is so prominent, is to look at the history. The Spanish conquistadors, the early Spaniards who came to Mexico and kicked ass, just wiped out the beliefs that they had of their time. Convert or die. Well, many converted. Now, at first, maybe a lot of them pretended to convert, but then you see this convergence of old beliefs that they had and the new belief that they're forced to have on top of that. But now, Mexico is mostly Catholic. Japan tried to outlaw Christianity when some missionaries first arrived. And these Christians that were there in Japan that had converted to Christianity went into hiding. And so what happened was there was a blending, a fusion of Japanese beliefs and Christianity. And so when they were allowed to reemerge, they come out with a very different looking religion than what we normally have from Christianity. The hidden Christians of Japan is an interesting topic, I think, and one worth exploring if you haven't already. And the point is that this is all exactly what we would expect from human-made religions, is that the idea starts one spot in the world and then grows from there. And it spreads word of mouth, and it relies completely on human endeavors, and it evolves, it changes throughout time. It's not static. People don't really necessarily agree on all the tenets of it, even if you have, in the Catholic Church, of course, they have the Pope, but even there, you have different versions of Catholicism that exist. So it doesn't look like there's a divine mastermind at work that then says, well, free will. You have the freedom to believe or not in any of these gods. There you go. There you can pick and choose whichever one. Zeus. What about Zeus from back in the day? Sure, whatever. God's so hidden that it's fine as long as you find God, right? Well, but that's an assumption that God wants you to find it. Maybe it doesn't want anyone to find it, and that's why it's so well hidden. Maybe God doesn't want anyone to believe in it, and that's why it's so hidden. Maybe God is really the God of the skeptics, and only by not believing in God can you truly be saved. Now you have to have the freedom of will to not believe in God. Can you just stop believing in God? Just like that? If you truly have this free will to choose to believe God, then couldn't you just stop believing today and it at least for an hour and then believe again the next hour or a minute? Maybe a minute is safer, in case you get killed. You don't want to die when you don't believe in God, goodness forbid, because there's another assumption that believing in God grants you access to the divine realm and not believing in God doesn't. And well, then why would God hide then? That makes it even more insane and more convoluted. God wants a relationship, is hidden, will not speak to you, I, or anybody else, mimics all other human religions, uh, and it says I have the freedom to choose to believe in it or not. No, I don't. I don't have any freedom at all, not even a little. I have no choice but to not believe in it. So this isn't an answer. Free will is not an answer to divine hiddenness. Of course, the idea that there is divine hiddenness is also just that. It's an idea. It is a belief that people hold that there's some reason or excuse they can give to why God is so well hidden. God is so well hidden that it might as well not even exist. But you don't have a choice in the matter of believing or not believing in the way that they suggest. But people do believe in God. How did that happen? Variety of methods. Essentially, the idea of God plays into our pattern seeking brains. It fits nicely into your head. It's a good meme. It's a earworm you can't quite shake. It's that music you keep thinking about. It's that song that just won't leave you alone. And it's really yourself. It's an ego sort of thing. It's a, here's an answer, here's things. We kind of understand how things work, and then here's some point where you don't understand things, and that's where God lives. Huh. Really? I don't know about that. How do you know anything about God? All the ideas of God come from whatever religion you believed in. And if you don't have any particular religion, then your ideas of God are probably self generated. So you've just decided what God is. So God is backwards from things that we know about. That is to say, the definition of what that is came after seeing what it is. We found things like this, and then we said, all right, we need a name for it. We'll call it lobster. And now we'll describe it, and that's what it is. But God's the reverse. There is no God to show. So what God is up to the person that claims that there is a God. Although they have no way to show that. God is an abstract object of the mind. Try to picture a triangle in your head. Now, I don't know. Some people picture things in their heads differently. So some people's brains work differently than others. So maybe you can't picture anything in your head. Some people are like that. Some people don't think in visual medium. Some people think in words. Some people have other ways of thinking. It's quite interesting. But nonetheless, nobody, I don't think, can picture a triangle. Because it's not a thing that you can picture. You can't draw a triangle either. Now, maybe you're thinking, yeah, I can. Here's a triangle. What are you talking about? Oh, no. That's a particular type of triangle. That is not triangle. The concept triangle, not the particular triangle. How about this? House. What is a house? Immediately in my head, I'm imagining a house. Okay, I draw a box and a little chimney and a roof and a window and a door. Wait a minute. Well, not all houses have chimneys. Okay, well, roof, walls, door, windows. Not all houses have windows. They all have doors, right? Well, maybe not. Do you have to have a door for it to be a house? What? Wait a minute. What the bleep is house? Because all I'm doing is drawing particular versions of house. The concept house is a universal. So there's a difference between the universal concepts and the particular concepts. The particulars we can draw. We can show each other a particular version of a house or triangle. But we can't show that. We can explain it. But even that, there's something where there's some vagueness. Human. Man, what's a human? Okay, well, you can describe human. kind of. But also you can't, because you have to be broad. You don't, well, bipedal. Wait, no, that doesn't. Not all humans have legs and arms, or eyes, or So what makes a human human? And so the concepts that we have in our heads that are universal are different than the particulars that we can point at. And so religion and the concept of God plays with that aspect of your mind to some extent and says that's where God is. It's kind of a universal, it's kind of a particular, it's kind of both, it's kind of neither. And so that's really weird and amazing, and you get stuck with it in your head, broadly speaking. But once that belief sets in, you can get rid of it. It just takes a while. It's not instant. It's things building up over time that will let you get out of that belief. And that's the key point. Belief. Not knowledge. Not information. Not data. Belief. Not fact. You don't really have a choice in how you believe in anything. Your brain, to some extent, and I don't know how much, is wired in certain ways. The way that you are as a human, a lot of that is tied to your biology. Now, maybe we have free will. Goodness knows, I have no idea. But it seems extraordinarily limited. There's things that you just wouldn't want to do. Like every now and then I'll watch a video where they're crossing some big giant bridge over some big chasm, and it's like, yeah, that's nice. You have fun doing that. Nope, I don't want to do that. I'd be scared. Maybe I'd do it. I don't know, but probably, okay, maybe. But then I see a video where they're biking down that same mountain, and I'm like, no, because I'd flip and fall, and that would, very quickly. No, I'm not doing that. Not interested. Have no interest in that. So if you really have free will, though, you should be able to do things that you really don't want to do, but you're like, well, I could do it, but I'm not gonna. So my joke that I like to do when I'm talking about free will is, oh, you really think you have free will? Let's prove it. Eat a plate full of poo. Well, you don't want to. Nobody does. Well, maybe somebody somewhere does. But most people wouldn't want to. Well, I win in either case. If you do eat it, then I get to laugh because, you ate shit. That's funny. I'm like, I'd probably throw up, but it'd still be fun. I'd be laughing as I threw. But if you don't, then I win because you didn't prove that you had free will. But the point is, you don't want to do it. But you supposedly have free will, but you kind of don't anymore. Because it's not a true choice. Now that's where baculum comes in. Appeal to force. You're held at gunpoint or knife point or whatever. Give me your money. Well, you give the money. Why? Well, because you're being threatened. Your life is being threatened implicitly. And maybe it's a fake gun. Maybe it's not loaded. Maybe anything. I don't know. But you do it not because it's logical, at least in terms of a logical reason. There is logic to it. The logic is that of self-preservation. But do you really have free will? Or have I taken it away to some degree? So if a God is saying, do it or else, you don't have free will. So the whole free will thing is negated anyways. So God might as well show up and say, "Hi, everybody, I'm God. Here's how it works." Then we could decide whether or not we want anything to do with it. We could actually have a relationship with it, a real relationship, not a parasocial relationship, but I could talk to it, it would talk to me, I could ask it questions, I could get to know it, I could see whether it's a good guy, a bad guy, or something else. Or maybe not a guy at all. I don't know, but whatever. But I can't do that. But I'm told by people that believe in God that this is an answer. It's not, though. It just isn't. Doesn't excuse it. God is incoherent if free will is your answer. And even if free will isn't your answer, I would submit that God is mostly incoherent, but some versions of God are less incoherent than others. Now, could God exist and still be incoherent? Maybe, but I don't know about that. So, I don't know why people think this is an answer. Um, but they do. And it's interesting. And hopefully, even though I've talked about this before, I'm probably going to talk about it again because it comes up every now and then. But hopefully, if a believer listens to this and thinks about it, well, yeah, I don't really have the ability to just stop believing in God and then start believing in God again. So that the idea that somebody has the free will to choose to believe in not isn't really true. Like I said, maybe we humans can make ourselves believe in something or not believe in something. I don't know that that's a thing that we really can do. I think it's plausible though, but I'm not going to hurt my brain trying to do it. Somebody out there told me that they were going to try to think I was a lobster for an entire year. I think. Or at least I thought they did. I don't know. But if they did and they succeeded, that'd be kind of weird. Could they then break free of that? Or would it take them a year to stop believing I was a lobster? I don't know. Perhaps we shouldn't play with our brain, though, because we might end up breaking it. You know, if there's a God, which I don't know what God is or anything like that, it definitely is identical in the sense of all the gods that have been here on Earth seem to be identical in terms of being invented by humans. So God has not interacted with humanity in any way, shape, or form that we can differentiate it from all the other religions. That seems clear to me. Maybe God is waiting for us to evolve, or maybe God actually is the god of the lobsters, like it says in the Lobsterist, and doesn't care about humans at all. That would explain it. Why should we think we are the pinnacle of creation? Well, Bibles say that. Humans are pretty cool, but are we the coolest thing that there is? Did God really make everything just for us? I don't think so. Anyways, free will doesn't explain the hiddenness of God. I don't really know that anything adequately explains the hiddenness of God if God is real, other than maybe God doesn't care, doesn't want to be found, or is way out there somewhere in the universe and we haven't found it. You know, we don't see it. Um, there's some answers that would make logical sense, but maybe God is a concept that we came up with in our heads. And maybe it's useful. Many concepts we've invented are useful. Numbers and letters, those are inventions, but they're very useful. And some people even pretend that the letter A exists out there in a perfect form and that person would be following the footsteps of Plato, who was wrong. But if you want to believe that, I guess you can. I'm not sure how you get to that belief, but people have beliefs like that. People believe in all sorts of weird things for all sorts of different weird reasons. Recognizing that should make us skeptical of beliefs. That is to say, maybe it's true, maybe it's not true, but we're going to hold in judgment until we have some empirical evidence, repeatable tests, or valid and sound argument. And if we don't, we should remain skeptical of the ideas. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Until next time, this has been Lobster. Wait. No, am I a lobster? Am I a lobster? Oh, wait, I have a blue sheep. So, see? Proved it. So, there you go. It's easy to prove stuff that are real, isn't it? Anyway, all right. Now I'm done. Okay. Sit.